Good evening and welcome along to Extra Time here on Fox's Hub following a last gasp Leicester City victory at the weekend. It's always easier, it's always better doing this show after 3 points, and that's exactly what we've got to talk about this evening. Before we tell you what we've got coming up on the show, let's introduce our guest this evening. As ever, as he is every single week, Iwan Roberts is here in the studio as my co-host, also known as, we learnt, Matt Elliott, the number one Matt Damon fan club member as well.
You call me Bill Walton then? Yeah, Google Bill Walton for those of you who don't know. Apparently Ewan looks just like him.
and somehow you were at the Luton game and the Southampton game at the weekend as well.
Yeah, I was down St Mary's. I thought that at one stage the game was going to get called off. The mist off that sea is it? Anyway, whatever it was coming down quite heavily, to be fair. They look a decent side.
English Channel.
Is it the English Channel? They look a decent side, to be fair, Southampton. Could have had 5 or 6 on the day. Yeah, they look good.
Okay, well,
in a good run as well.
When Leicester played, and I got to watch, it was a decent going forward. Suspect defensively.
Kamikaze at the back, yeah.
Yeah, they still play that way,
No, they've improved.
Yeah.
I think they've, in their first...
They couldn't really fail to do that.
In their first 8 games, they conceded 22 goals. 22 goals.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy, that game was, wasn't it? But anyway,
you've jumped in before being introduced, but that's okay. Jeremy Renner, lookalike Matt Elliott, is with us as well this evening.
Daniel Craig's son, that's the one. Or Wendy Craig, possibly.
Tony Cottee has just burst out laughing. We can see Tony this evening. He just heard Matt compare himself to Daniel Craig, and that was it, really.
No, I'm only doing what other people do, son. They tell me.
Of course. Yeah, that's why I'm chuckling away, Daniel Craig. The thought I can see you in a tuxedo, Matt, but I guess about where the similarities end.
Not Speedos, then. Coming out of the sea.
Not those turquoise Speedos, son.
Yeah, good evening, boys. Yeah, I watched the game on Saturday. Obviously, great result for Leicester in the end. And I was watching the Hammers yesterday, and I must admit, I nearly fell asleep watching that game. So, yeah, it wasn't the best game in the world. But, yeah, I've had a busy football weekend.
Good man. Have you got any lookalikes, Tony, that people always say? Throwing that one on you? We were just debating that before.
I did have Warwick Davis thrown at me once before. We won't go there. I think we better move on.
Yeah, let's do that quickly.
It's better coming from the man himself, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, in fact, Tony, we will start with you. We will start with you. You said you were obviously watched the game on Saturday, and I mean, as ever, for those of you listening, do get involved with the show, whether that's on Facebook or on YouTube. Get your questions in, get your comments. I think we need to mute Matt's mic at this stage. Yeah, get your questions in, your comments in to us on the show this evening. And that's exactly what Ray Tolerico has done, as he always does. He says, I think we'll look back at this game as a little bit of a turning point at the end of what was a bit of a sticky run. Had we given away points that late again for 2 games in a row, he said he didn't even want to think about how he would have felt at full time. So for Leicester to... and not right the wrong of Wednesday, I guess, against Sheffield Wednesday, but for history to repeat itself and concede that late, Tony, they'd have been so disappointed. So to go up there and get that winner really does feel massive.
Yeah, absolutely, Dan. And I think you always take a great satisfaction when you get a result in sort of what was injury time, wasn't it? I mean, you've only got to look at the joy of the players, the celebrations, the fans. You know, you could see what it meant. And, you know, but as we said many times on Monday night, Leicester have had a fantastic start to the season, but they have dropped a few points recently. And it's always important to bounce back, you know, when you've had a result that you would expected more, you know, obviously against Sheffield Wednesday, bottom team, everyone expected Leicester to win. It didn't happen. So sometimes you have to bounce back. And I think that, you know, I've said it before and I'll say it again, the lads and the manager and everyone at the club deserves great credit because, you know, when you do have these little setbacks, you know, they've only been little setbacks this year. They've not been big ones. But even so, when you get the little setbacks, you've got to bounce back and to get back into the game, you know, in injury time. You know, it tells you everything you need to know about the team spirit and the ability of the players to get that result. It was it's a tough place to go, West Brom. The boys will echo those words. It's a really tough place to go. And I thought it was, in the end, it wasn't the best the first half. It was a really enjoyable second half and a great result for the club.
I don't know about you boys, but I think that's as good a week that club have had this season. To go to beat Watford, who are flying, and beating in 6th. They've won their last two since losing at the King Power last weekend. An element of disappointment Wednesday night up at Hillsborough. Thought should be a game before the game. Should be a game that Leicester should be winning against a team that had only won once, conceding that late goal. But to be fair to Sheffield Wednesday, they definitely deserved at least a point on the night. But then to go to West Brom, who were flying, won 5 of their previous 6 before the weekend. I don't think they conceded in 5 of those games as well. And to go there, I don't think it was a classic. It was nip and tuck, not too much to sort of separate the two teams, but went ahead with a great goal, great move, great ball in from Wilfred Ndidi, fantastically timed run from Dewsbury-Hall, textbook header, and then to concede that sloppy goal on 89 minutes, but then to react like they did and to have the belief and as TC said, the togetherness to go again and score that winning goal in 94 minutes and magnificent counter-attacking goal. I think it's a really after Watford, and I said to you, I sent you a text on Saturday night. Then I would have taken 4 points from those 2 away games. They probably would have come the other way round. 3 points at Hillsborough and a point at West Brom, but I would have taken 4 points from those 2 again. I think it's been a really good, solid week. 7 points from 3 games. Top week, I think.
Yeah, I haven't really sort of considered it in that manner, but when you mention it there,
and on the back of 2 defeats as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. There's turn things around. I think that people are still sort of reflecting a little bit on those 2 defeats, aren't they? Sort of thinking, there's a bit of an issue going on here, whatever. But dips we've spoken about before are going to be inevitable without a doubt. But it's how long they last for, and hopefully, this is Leicester. Coming out of that, obviously had the win against. When you put, you consider that performance, that was pretty comprehensive against Watford, wasn't it? Like you said, a team in form. And again, when you put it like that, 4 points out of 2 away games, 1 being West Brom. Yeah, you always want maximum, but you wouldn't be disappointed with 4 points. It's just a manner with which it came. Because I think the performance was against Sheffield Wednesday was more worrying than the result, really. Because you look at that and you think, oh, that's not what Maresca's football is all about, really. You want a little bit more than that. But again, you're going to have these periods. But he changed the team a little bit. Without doubt, Leicester are more efficient with Dewsbury-Hall and Ndidi than they are Eunice and Cassidy at the moment. There's some room for development for those 2 to integrate themselves properly. But Leicester at full strength, they're a big proposition, aren't they? And as you say, that performance, the manner of it, I thought it was more impressive than perhaps Ewan suggested there at the weekend. Against a team like West Brom, like you said, they're flying, aren't they? They go there.
They were the form team.
Yeah, they're the form team, aren't they? And they're a big club. They've got some good players there and good manager, and they've really got things rolling. Other than set pieces on 2-3 occasions, and Leicester causing their own problems because of how they play. Some of their decision making was a little bit suspect. Need to sort of just tidy up on that aside. But in general flow of the game, West Brom couldn't do anything to hurt Leicester. Really, it was just isolated instances, really. But Leicester were the more dominant. I thought the better overall football team, and I've always thought the more likely to win it. Although it was a bit of a scramble at the end, but again, exactly. And Dewsbury-Hall was quick to mention it about the togetherness of the players, like because of the way Leicester play. It's not all sort of up and at them, harum scarum, frantic, getting weighed into the opposition. Some people can maybe question the spirit of the side because it's quite cultured. Have they got this fire in their belly? But you see it on quite a few occasions that they're no shrinking violets. They'll come back again and again. And the way they celebrate at the end suggests that they're right all in it together. And
not just the reaction of the 11 that were on the pitch when Harry Winks scores. The whole bench was on the pitch. I think Enzo got a yellow card, didn't he, for celebrating?
He just went
they were fantastic scenes. There must have been about 3,000 Leicester fans in that stand behind the goal. And it was such a fantastic goal to win it. It's a simple goal in the end.
Yeah.
Dewsbury-Hall is unbelievable. Iheanacho plays a massive part. He could have played that ball a bit earlier than he did, but I think had he done that, I think West Brom might have got 1 or 2 defenders back and put more pressure on. But it takes 2 touches just to slow things down, to buy himself a bit of time, and then puts a perfect ball in. And Dewsbury-Hall, he's done that twice.
Done well,
he's done that. He squared it at Blackburn for Casey McAteer to score, and he did it at Carrow Road as well. And I remember, a few weeks ago, someone said he makes bad decisions. Who would that be?
Let's not go there. I think let's try and keep things nice in the studio.
Decision making at times. At times. I'll cover myself with that one.
Neil Plater on Facebook says he was swearing when West Brom equalised, but jumped for joy when we got the winner. Football gives you loads of emotions, but that's why we love the sport. And that probably sums it up a little bit, Tony, doesn't it? And you saw the reaction at full time. Had it stayed maybe 1-0, it still would have been a great reception at full time, and the away end still would have been pleased and singing all their songs. But the way and the manner in which it happened is just why we, as Neil says, love the sport so much.
It's why it's the greatest sport in the world, Dan. In my opinion, it's fantastic because you just get that roller coaster of emotions. And there's many other great sports out there, but there's very few that can touch football because you can just be real extremes. You could be going into the last sort of 10 minutes of a game, you're winning 1-0, and then you concede and your heads go down. Everyone goes, oh, here we go again. We're going to drop points and that. And then you then get the opposite where you get the goal, a wonderful counter-attacking goal, and then you've got that extreme emotion again where the Leicester fans are going mad because you've got a goal you scored in sort of pretty much the last minute of injury time. There's no coming back from West Brom, and you're going to get the 3 points and that. And there was quite a few Premier League games as well yesterday with same sort of thing, Dan. And it's why it's such a fantastic match of football. It really does play with your emotions and that. But I suppose I said it last week. I say again, we could perhaps do with a nice 4 or 5-0, coasting to victory. Is one of them coming up in December as we're going to lots of games and that. But for the time being, just enjoy the roller coaster ride. It was so hard for Leicester fans last season. Just enjoy it this season because the performances and the quality of the football and the results they're getting. It's been a really exciting season so far.
Yeah, I mean, Matt, you were obviously there at the Hawthorns for it and for that incredible moment. And we were watching it in the studio. As for away games, you come in around about 5 minutes to go until the end of the game to get plugged in. We were all expecting, having seen the equaliser, to be talking about a 1-1 draw. And then the ball breaks for Iheanacho. He plays it. And it seemed an eternity, actually, from Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall getting it to then getting in that position. You're thinking, everything went in slow motion. Probably does in Dewsbury-Hall's head as well as...
Yeah, which is why he probably made it look so comfortable, really. But, situations like that don't occur too often, do they? Vaguely reminiscent maybe of the Southampton game that we were referring earlier. Leicester broke numerous occasions, didn't they, against zero opposition from set-piece situations. And again, really... What were West Brom thinking, really? I mean, I know they're going for the win, but you don't go
gung-ho like that.
That was just crazy, wasn't it? It's like they've forgotten that they could possibly lose that game.
But it made me laugh when they equalised. Is it Margin, the lad who equalised? He's gone straight into, he's thinking, we can win this.
Yeah.
We can win this.
Oh, yeah, they fancied it, didn't they?
Backfired on them massively.
Well, that's why they put so many forward.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair enough. You've got to cover yourself to some level, haven't you? I mean, it's top of the league you're playing against. It's almost a bit disrespectful, really, and they paid the price, didn't they? But when they broke, it was one of those that, in half initially, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then, but you could see
it was a long throw again, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was exactly. And Kelechi in that, what was he? 15 yards inside his own half on his first contact, whatever. And then, but you could see it developing, and from the side, it's easy, isn't it? Because I'm sitting there thinking, you know what to do. This is, but 9 times out of 10,
you don't do it.
It doesn't happen, does it? Like something, say, Iheanacho's ball is just behind Dewsbury-Hall, and he's got to check his run a bit, and the defender gets back, or winks. I don't know, pulls up with hamstring. Something's going to go wrong. You sit there thinking, that's all going to plan. Kiernan's going to run it there, and then he's going to square it to Harry, and then he'll slot it in the net. But Harry nearly missed that as well, didn't he?
He had to slide in, didn't he? He had to slide in.
Up for the... oh, hang on a bit. Oh, yeah, and carried on the celebration. But he had a little double look, I think, Harry. But can't imagine if he'd missed that. Oh, dear. Anyway, here's some putts. But, it looked straightforward. It looked easy. And in the end, between the three players, they made it that way. But more often than not, I was just waiting for something to go wrong. You think, it's too good a situation. Isn't
How
it?
did you react?
Yeah, no, I was jumping around anyway, just
Were
trying
you?
to keep warm.
On that gantry bit.
Yeah, there's not a lot of room up
No,
there, is
yeah.
there? It's a bit cramped, but yeah, no, it was good. You were up. I don't always get that emotional at football games, but every now and then I get wrapped up in it, and I was up and off, and as was Chris Parrott, commentator as well, and then he's look at the fans, and then right in front of us was Enzo and all his backroom staff, the support, the subs bench all on the pitch. The security lads were up. Everyone was off and running. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, I love that Enzo going there. He not lost control of his emotions, but he just got so wrapped up, as did everybody. I mean, here in the studio, we were up sort of off our feet, and you know what it's like with the mics on and the earpieces. It's hard to do
you've
that.
Gone
but
from that low from conceding that 89th minute equaliser, thinking another late goal, another point away from home, another draw. Okay, we'll take it at West Brom, but to break like that, and I mean the emotions that fans, players, staff go through, it was absolutely incredible. And you think of all the pace and the legs you've got in that Leicester City side, probably the one person you didn't expect to make that unbelievable run. I mean, he's a defensive midfielder, but the desire that he showed to sort of keep up with Kiernan, you expect to see that from Kiernan, because you know that's one massive strength that he has got. He covers the ground so quickly. Great goal.
Yeah, Kiernan, hold it up that long. Come on, Eric. Come on.
Catch up.
Go on, Tony.
Sorry, can I just ask, did anyone else get a yellow card, or was it just Enzo? Because it looked to me that the whole bench sort of ran on the pitch. And did he do something to warrant a yellow card, or was it just, did he get done for encroachment? Because I don't know if you guys remember back the World Cup. Remember the World Cup? You had pretty much the whole squad running on the field of play, which I think is great. As long as you're not taunting other players or intimidating other players, I think there's room for it in the game. And if you just got yellow carded for going on the pitch, that's crazy.
I think it was only the manager at the time, which, again, you know, the authorities and the powers that be need to go back to the drawing board and have another rethink, don't they? There was at least 7 or 8 players, people on the pitch, the backroom staff, like I say, security weren't far off. But, I mean, surely if it's like encroachment on the pitch with, I don't know, threatening behaviour towards the referee or whatever it is, you know, tripping up the opposition, whatever. But in that instance, come on. But it's, you know, common sense goes out the window. They don't think about these scenarios, do they, when they make the rules?
Christopher on Facebook, on YouTube rather.
And why just the manager? Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. Well, let's park that one now. Christopher Me on YouTube.
Well, not the assistant.
Says Harry Winks got a little bit lucky with the goal on the slide, and watching it back, Tony, it only just creeps in, doesn't it? And I guess like no one's questioning. Obviously, it went in, but you know, did you think did he have to slide? He maybe felt like he had to just to get there, and you've probably had finishes where to everybody else, to the untrained person like me, thinks, oh, that's just a tap-in, when maybe it isn't the case.
Yeah, I think sometimes players can make it look a little bit more awkward than what it is. Other times you've actually got to make a little bit of ground up to get yourself into position, because, you know, I always think those chances, and we've seen many examples over the years of players missing, and, you know, it's about concentrating, it's about getting a good contact on it, which he did. I mean, all right, the ball's gone maybe a foot just inside the post. Ideally, you want to roll it into the middle of the goal, don't you? We all know that. But there was a little bit of, you know, Kiernan done well. He knew he was there, and you've got all sorts of options going through your head. You know, let's not forget from Dewsbury-Hall's point of view, because he's running through. He's thinking, right, what do I do? Do I, you know, this is a chance for us to win the game. Do I shoot? Do I go around the goalkeeper, and then out the corner of your eye, you can see Harry Winks, and you've got to get that pass right, because again, we've seen it loads of times. Players try and pass it square, and it goes behind him or too far in front, and the chance has gone. You know, he did put a little bit of pace on it, which is why I think Harry had to just, you know, adjust his feet a little bit. But it doesn't matter, as long as it goes in the back of the net. You just do what you've got to do. Even if you bundle the ball in and slide all the way and take it doesn't matter. Just get the ball in the back of the net, which he did. And it was a little bit sort of uncomfortable in terms of how near it went to the post. But, you know, it was a wonderful attacking goal, you know, counter-attacking goal from the boys.
And we're talking about, like, the forward side of the team. Once again, lads, we've got to give the defensive side of the team so much credit. In 19 games, they haven't conceded more than 1 goal in the game. That's incredible. Incredible, really.
It is, yeah. And I commented on Saturday, midway through the game. You would think, in theory, that Leicester would concede more goals, one, but also to sort of get run ragged a little bit more because they play with effectively a back three majority of the time. Ricardo drops in as and where he's getting better and better at that because it's happened sort of seamlessly. But at times, so West Brom's front three, all quite lively, all pretty capable. Vestergaard's on his own in the middle. Fass is almost a right back position. James Justin, left back position. And when the ball is lost, or even sometimes in general play, Ricardo's still hovering around central positions in midfield when West Brom have the ball at times. And you'd think Asante against Vestergaard is going to be a problem, 1v1. And he is a lot of time on his own there.
He's a bit exposed at times, isn't he?
You would think, you'd think, but that Leicester, Winks and Ricardo know when to drop and when to sort of cover and help him out because Santi was making runs and Vestergaard could go with him, rather and leave a big gap, but the midfielders just drop in. They're pretty slick at it now. They cover themselves. They look pretty secure. Whereas early on in the season, I think Leicester were fortunate at times to, 1, win the games and 2, not concede more goals. But now, like you say, other than occasions where they played themselves into trouble and West Brom was set for that, that's when Hermansen had things to do. Other than that, he was unoccupied, wasn't he?
Yeah. A couple of bits again. The comments from you guys, thank you as ever for getting them in, including questions as well. Leicester Till I Die have said the way we went about things after their equaliser shows how much faith the team has in the Enzo way of doing things. Did you see that as well in that 5 minutes? They didn't panic. They still did what they did, and okay, the goal came from a counter attack and whatever, but they still have that belief.
To a degree. I can't remember just off the top of my head, too much happening after that West Brom goal. You're expecting, a barrage of attacks, aren't you? As of what happened to a level, didn't it, with the long throws coming in, because they got a bit of joy off that West Brom. So you're thinking, it was more about seeing the game out to maintain the point, really, wasn't it? But then, fair play, they're still playing with a bit of enterprise and a bit of purpose, an endeavour to recognise that situation, rather than just clearing the ball. Oh, Kelechi's got it. That does favour, buy us a bit of time. They were proactive, weren't they? And maybe that's part of the mindset. Exactly, certainly didn't do any harm.
Yeah, and you saw as we've already touched upon, Tony, that the reaction at full time. Obviously, the reaction when the goal's in, but then the reaction at full time, the celebrations with that away, and they probably all collectively felt that is a huge win and could be a huge win come the end of the season, given the fact that they'd got on this mini blip, if you like, and then it looked as if it was going to be 2 games in a row where they've dropped points really late on, but they didn't. They turned it around, and against a team that were third a couple of weeks ago, and as Ewan says, the form side.
Absolutely, and I think we hear it trotted out so many times when players say we take each game as it comes, and I think it's important to do that, especially when you're in this situation that Leicester are in, because you're aiming any matches obviously to get the 3 points. The goal difference could be crucial come the end of the season. You've got that factor as well, and it's a journey. And I mentioned it. The journey was awful for everyone connected with the club last year. Culminating in the relegation. But this is a different journey. But you've got to have everyone's got to be on board. Everyone's got to be believing the manager, which they quite obviously do. The fans believe in the manager, and when you get on one of these runs where Leicester have been in such good form, where they're winning lots of football matches, the boys in the studio tell you it's the best feeling in the world. If you're playing well as an individual, we've already said defensively been fantastic. The goalkeeper's been great, midfield really good forward players. You've got everything, all the ingredients you need, and it's just trying to piece it all together. And when it comes good, and when you get the victories, particularly in the way that they got it in terms of the injury time winner, I think you've got to enjoy that. You've got to milk it, and you've got to enjoy those times and those celebrations with the fans, because I was lucky enough to play 20 years as a footballer, but I can promise you there's a lot more downs than there are ups. So if you've got the ups, if the ups are coming on a regular basis, which they are this season, my advice to the boys, enjoy it as much as you can and just get on that roller coaster and get back into the Premier League.
I mean, we've spoken about the month of December. I mean, it's massively important, really busy, so many games, cracking start to the month, and we spoke about it before we came on air. Dan, the next 4 games, 3 of which are at home, really winnable. And I don't want to go over the top because we said that about Sheffield Wednesday. Plymouth next, they had a good win at the weekend, so we'll speak about them before the programme finishes. Then Millwall, 1 win in 9. Birmingham in 15th, Millwall in 19th. Birmingham have 1 win in 8. They've lost their last 7 away games. Rotherham, who were 23rd, no wins in 7, 1 win in 14. 4 games that could pick up some really valuable points before that massive game on Boxing Day down at Portman Road.
Yeah, I think people have got to bear that in mind when there are little barren spells. The Leeds is always going to be a test. Could have gone either way. Leeds probably nicked it on the balance of play on that particular evening.
But they were a wonder save at the end away from.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's tight. It could have gone, like I say, literally either way. And then what was the next? Middlesbrough was similar. Leicester were getting on top, really, weren't they? And the free kicks come again. These things happen. People just got to remember that over the course of the season, and they're going to be runs. Probably won't go totally to plan, but you wouldn't be surprised if it did. It has done earlier in the season. Leicester have gone on won numerous games, which is pretty rare, any level of football, to go and win 5 or 6 on the trot. But Leicester have got that capability, which stands them in good stead down the line.
Yeah, and Greg Allen on Facebook has made a good point, Tony, off the back of what Ewan was saying. Okay, you look at it on paper, and it doesn't make great reading for those teams that are coming here. But, and I know we've all pretty much, you guys have all said it, at least once, if not twice, throughout the season, that every single one of those teams, whoever it is this season in the Championship, barring maybe Leeds and Southampton, will treat playing Leicester like it's a massive game, in his words, like it's an FA Cup final. So we can't be complacent.
No, and there is no room for complacency, and the games. I think for everyone in football, I actually used to love it. I think it's a great time to be a footballer because you just get the games. You haven't got to train so much. You just have the midweek games or whatever. There's so many games coming at you thick and fast, and you can make things happen very quickly over the Christmas period. But you can also, it can go the other way. You get on a little run where you're all over the place and you lose 2 or 3 games, and all of a sudden the chasing pack, everyone squeezes up. Let's not forget Ipswich. We've got a big game on Boxing Day. They're hot on the heels of Leicester, having a great season. So there's some really big games, and Ewan touched on it. They're on paper, they're games that you look at. Oh yeah, Leicester win that. Oh yeah, and all that. But as I said against Sheffield Wednesday, there's no such thing as an easy game in the Championship. Every game's a tough game, and Leicester have got to be at it. A lot of games coming up, but the way they're playing, the way that the mentality that they're showing with matches, I've got every confidence they're going to have a good December. And then once you get into that new year and you get the FA Cup, etc., starting, then I think hopefully Leicester will be in a really strong position.
Hopefully so. That next game, of course, on Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoff. That means we'll be live from 2 o'clock. We'll continue talking about the game on Saturday. We have gone, just under half an hour of the show. We've not done the first of our Lurdles yet this evening, so we can do that now before we take a look at some of the social media posts from the Leicester players at the weekend. Right, this is clue number 1 for the Lurdle. Again, those of you that are new to the show with us here on Extra Time, basically we'll play a little snippet of commentary of a Leicester City goal. It's your job at home to guess who the goal scorer is and who the team that the goal was scored against was against. Something like that. Get your comments in on Facebook and YouTube. Obviously, the clues will get easier and easier as the commentary goes on. So if you get it after clue number 1, then very well done to you. Here it is.
But they've got 4 in a line here, 5 in a line if you include Chilwell from right to left. That's how many bodies they've got forward.
I'll play it one more time. So not too much in it, but it gives you an idea of eras potentially. Play it one more time.
But they've got 4 in a line here, 5 in a line if you include Chilwell from right to left. That's how many bodies they've got forward.
So there we go. So we need the goal scorer and the team that it was scored against, please. Let's take a look to see how some of the Leicester players then over the weekend have reacted to that victory at the Hawthorns. No better place to start than, well, the match winner or the match winners in Kiernan, Dewsbury-Hall and Harry Winks. This is Kiernan's post. He says that'll do for me, with a picture next to the man who he teed up, but very much a man of the match performance from Kiernan. We'll talk about him in particular in just a moment. Matt Hermanson says Foxes never quit, massive win. And finally, the goal scorer himself. Nothing better than a last-minute winner. Great performance from the boys. Fans were incredible, and I think everyone will have seen it by now. The videos of the slow-mos or whatever it is of Harry Winks when he's celebrating that. You can just see the pure joy in his face that is echoed by the, what were they, 3,000 or 4,000 Leicester fans that were there as well.
He loves it, doesn't he? He makes the most. He makes the most of it, rightly so.
Let's talk about Kiernan, Dewsbury-Hall, because I think it's 6 goals and 7 assists for him so far in all competitions, and that's a brilliant return. And in all comps, the next nearest player is on 8 goals for Leicester. So I'm not saying there's an over-reliance on Kiernan, but he's very much one of the most important and influential players.
Without any shadow of a doubt, yeah. I think he's massive influence, isn't he? He's played in this division before and excelled. He's excelled in the Premier League at times as well. But coming into this division again, against expectations, really, he'd have been looking sort of further upwards, really, and hoping his career was going to take that trajectory. But he's not resettled himself, but he's got the right frame of mind now and realise the challenge that's ahead for the club as a whole, really. But for him as well, taking over, in a way, he's a different sort of player. Doesn't have the same attributes that James Maddison has, but he's almost taken over that mantle in the team, really. The figurehead, the one that as suggested, his goal involvement's there. His general all-round influence and input is huge on the team. He works his absolute socks off, doesn't he? Fit as a fiddle and can have an influence all over the pitch, all through the game, as we saw. And but he seems happy to take on that mantle. Yeah, he's developed and matured now, and he knows. You can see he realises how good a player he is. Yeah, and push on, and he wants. You can see he's desperate to get back in the Premier League and really show people what he can do again there.
I mean, you've said there, Matty, that he hasn't got some of the things that James Maddison has,
and vice versa.
And I totally agree with you. Exactly. I mean, if that's James Maddison running through on Saturday in the 94th minute, he gets caught up because he hasn't got that explosive pace that Dewsbury-Hall's got. He's not moped about. He's seen James Maddison go to Spurs. He's seen Harvey Barnes go to Newcastle. Tielemans go to Aston Villa. I think his loyalty has been fantastic to the club. He's a local boy.
I think it's the right thing for him at the moment.
I think so. I think so. I think he's taken his game to another level. You've just said 6 goals in 19 appearances. He'd got 5 in his previous 77 for the football club. And I know it was at a higher level, but I think there's only Leif Davis of Ipswich and Gabriel Sara of Norwich who have created more goals than him. And we said it after day one, after Coventry. Was it Coventry? Yeah, the 2-1 when he scored both goals. He could be a massively influential player for Leicester City, and he is. And we've said those 3 in there, and Ndidi, Winks, Dewsbury-Hall, they're the best midfield trio in this division. I mean, and we've not spoken about it. We've spoken about Winks, we've spoken about Dewsbury-Hall, and Ndidi's ball from the corner. That's a magnificent ball, because I'm thinking he ain't going to get to that.
Is it still Ndidi-like, or has he done enough intricate quality pieces of play to consider that's his normal way of playing these days?
Whatever, it's a magnificent ball. He's in a way, because one of those you can. Is it going to go out? It's desperation time, but he's sort of just stood it magnificently for Dewsbury-Hall just to come in and power that. It was a superb ball.
Yeah, and okay, it's a midfielder scoring it, Tony. But if you're a forward player and you see that ball coming in, and he heads it on around about the 6-yard box, doesn't he? You must think goal straight away, and it is just a perfect cross.
Mentioned it because I thought it was a sensational cross. We don't see enough of it nowadays. You see players getting to the byline, and I don't know what they do sometimes. Sometimes they're just trying to smash the ball across the goal, or if there's a lot of sort of cutbacks. When I sort of cutbacks, I'm right to the sort of almost back to the 18-yard line. So we see a lot of that, and defenders, they sort of anticipate it and they cut the ball out of the near post. But it's one of the best balls that you can play. Once you get to that byline, you just got to get your foot under it, and it's like a sandwich or a pitching wedge in golf. You get under it, do the old Phil Mickelson lob shot and that. Anyone who played golf knows what I'm on about. You just get your foot under it, just chip the ball up. And once he made that contact and that, and you see it, the slow-mo that they showed, the replay while I was watching, I thought, what a cross that is. And, to be fair, Dewsbury-Hall made it look easy. It wasn't an easy goal for him to score because you've got to make the run. You've got to arrive at the right time. But the cross from Ndidi was absolutely fantastic. It really was a sensational goal. And just finally on Dewsbury-Hall, I think he deserves massive praise because, he would have come into the team over the last couple of seasons. You've got all the big names, your Madisons, your Barnes and all that. And, as a younger player, sometimes you come in the team and you're doing your stuff and you're trying to impose yourself on the game, but you're not the main man. And then, of course, a lot of players have left in the summer, and there's now no doubt now that Dewsbury-Hall is the main man. But then you've still then got to go out and put the performances in and score the goals and the assists that he's been doing. He's quite simply been sensational this year. I've thoroughly enjoyed watching him, and he's a real top player, and he's an England player in the making. He's just got to keep doing what he's doing at the moment.
We've had a couple of guesses in on YouTube for our Lurdle this evening. As ever, Bubba has guessed Vardy against Spurs. I promise you, Bubba, one day we'll do Vardy's goal against Spurs so you can get it after one clue. And Leicester Till I Die has said tough one that. Madison against Spurs is his guess. That is incorrect. I'll play you clue number 2 now. That might give you more of an idea.
But they've got 4 in a line here, 5 in a line if you include Chilwell from right to left. That's how many bodies they've got forward. Barnes, Iheanacho, Vardy, Madison and Chilwell from right to left. Here is Harvey Barnes. That's a good ball for Iheanacho.
Do you want that one again? Doesn't
No,
give a huge amount other than players. I will do it, though. So
they've got 4 in a line here, 5 in a line if you include Chilwell from right to left. That's how many bodies they've got forward. Barnes, Iheanacho, Vardy, Madison and Chilwell from right to left. Here is Harvey Barnes. That's a good ball for Iheanacho.
There's been a guess from my left-hand side from Ewan, James Justin. That is incorrect as well. And I know exactly why you've done that. That is because James Justin made his 100th appearance for the Foxes at the weekend, but it's not him who scored that goal. So we need your guess for who scored it and who it was scored against. Speaking of the games that are coming up in December, Philip Howard has said there are 7 now in 23 days between Saturday's game and New Year's Day. So one for you, Tony. How does the squad cope and what sort of rotation do you think will have to happen from Enzo Maresca in those 7 games in 23 days?
Well, I think he's done it really well so far, hasn't he? I don't think there's been loads of rotation. I think he's, invariably, if he is going to tweak it, it's maybe 1 or 2 changes, which I like. I think you've got to keep the basis of the team in place. You can't go into games swapping 4 and 5 and 6 players and that. I think it just upsets the team. I think you get to the stage where you almost recognise or what is your best team, and I think the manager sort of pretty much knows that. All right, you're going to swap the forwards of Vardy or Iheanacho. I get that, but he probably ain't far off with the rest of them, the other sort of 9 or 10 players and that. But, he will have to swap the players around because there is a lot of games. Was it 7 in 23? I think you just said, that's a lot of games. That's without factoring in injuries, suspensions, all the natural things that come with, working at a football club. But, I've got every confidence in the manager, with all what he's done since the start of the season. I think he'll recognise it. And, if you've got, I can't call them lesser teams, but if you've got teams that are down the bottom, then there's probably more of an inclination to make maybe 2 or 3 changes. If you're playing a team that's more down the bottom, when you get to play Ipswich at Portman Road, you play your best team without a doubt.
Yeah, and I look at the depth of the squad. I mean, we've lauded Leicester for the depth that they do have in this division, although I agree with Tony. I think quite clearly there's pretty much a first 11. Certainly a first 13, shall we say. centre forwards are variable, as are the wide men. Really, it's 2 out of 3, isn't it? There, Mavididi being one of them, pretty much. McAteer and Fatawu often change, but yeah, no. I'm looking at the squad, and you think they'd have enough to cope, surely, and also there is the option of maybe letting 2-3 players go on the periphery, but maybe bringing 1 or 2 in as well in January. You know, if you really feel you need to bolster anywhere. But Leicester have got, I wouldn't say an embarrassment of riches, but they've got more than their fair share, haven't they? Like, to cover each position. You look at it all through. The only one that you look at really, who long term you might struggle to replace, is Harry Winks, I would say. But Leicester have done that comfortably enough.
Is that Watford?
Previously, Watford, yeah. Hamza came in, did all right, didn't he? Or Ricardo came in, whichever way you look at it.
Back as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, Hamza did a good job on that day as well. So, let's see. The only thing I look at, not just Leicester's squad, how do these players keep fit all the time? Like,
without playing.
Yeah, ready to play, almost. Like, Tom Cannon different because he's injured. He'd be out for a while. But they must be doing behind the closed doors games at times or whatever. But like the likes of Connor Cottee or whatever, I know that he's probably a super professional and etc. But if you haven't, just come in, they slot in. Sometimes, like in Connor Cottie's situation, he's out again, but he'll come back in and look like he's never been away.
It helps when you have 70% possession of the game.
Yeah, true. That's true. Yeah, but even against, say, like Liverpool, Harry Souttar came in, Connor Cottee, there. Oh, they were feeling it a little bit at the end, but they didn't have 70% possession that night. They got well, but they looked fit as fiddles.
That's the thing.
It's astounding, really, because if I was out or any player in our area, out for a couple of months.
Name Souttar there. People have forgot about him. Pat Sandaka, Tom
around,
Cannon, you got Mark Albright.
Yeah.
The strength in depth's ridiculous, to be fair.
Yeah, you look at the players who aren't even on the bench sometimes. So.
After the Southampton game we were talking about earlier, 4-1, went to Carrow Road, made 6 changes, won the game 2-0.
Yeah. The longer the season, the better that serves Leicester, doesn't it? Because no other teams have got that depth, really.
No. Right, let's do the third clue then for our Lurdle this evening to see if you guys have got any clue yet. You got any inkling?
No, it's just confusing me a bit with like 5 in a line. I was thinking...
It's not a set piece.
No,
but anyway.
That's what I mean. I was thinking they defended a free kick. We were going forward and scoring, aren't we? So
let's play clue number 3 for you. We need the goal scorer and the team it was scored against.
Barnes, Iheanacho, Vardy, Maddison and Chilwell from right to left. Here is Harvey Barnes. That's a good ball for Iheanacho. Tielemans looking for enough. Harvey Barnes, who's into the box.
That gives you a big idea of who it might be. I'll play it one more time.
Barnes, Iheanacho, Vardy, Maddison and Chilwell from right to left. Here is Harvey Barnes. That's a good ball for Iheanacho. Tielemans looking for enough. Harvey Barnes, who's into the box.
It was who, but I'm thinking why.
What's the reason?
What's the reason? Yeah, it's a tenuous one, I will admit. It's been a busy day today.
But, was it rushed, was it?
Speaking of busy and passing the buck, it's time to pass the show on to my co-host, Iwan Roberts, for the next few minutes or so, because we are going to go globetrotting. That's the part of the show where Iwan takes us anywhere around the world for something that's happened that's maybe been a little bit different or a little bit strange. Sometimes we go to Scotland, sometimes we go to Brazil. Where are we going this evening?
Last week we went to La Liga, and TC and Gerald weren't impressed with what I had to offer. I'm going to go back to La Liga this week. I've got 2. Is that all right? Then I've got 2 globetrotters. The first.
Boil the kettle.
We mentioned last week. Jude Bellingham is the only Real Madrid player to score 4 goals in the Champions League in his first 4 appearances. Look at TC rolling his eyes. Look at TC rolling his eyes there. Did
you say about him getting the first to 15 last week?
I did,
you said about
and
that.
Tony didn't like that one either.
Oh, that's what Tag didn't like. TC didn't like that either.
Staying in La Liga, Barcelona 1, Atletico Madrid 0. Top of the table clash, 3rd v 4th. João Felix scores the winner on 28th minute. What's so special about it? I can see you thinking, what's so special about that?
I'm thinking, what's so special about that?
Don't forget, He was bought for £113 million from Benfica. He was the fourth highest transfer fee at the time. Who bought him? Atletico Madrid. He's not quite settled there. So he's gone on loan to Chelsea last season. I think he's got 4 goals in 16 appearances. Not getting a game this year under Diego Simeone. I don't think if he likes him as a player or not. He's gone out on loan to Barcelona again, and he scored the winner against his parent club. I've never heard of that happening before. And I'm thinking, can you imagine, right? Madrid missing out on a Champions League spot by 1 point next season. I think whoever drafted that contract and said he won't play against Barcelona, Madrid, sackable offence.
Well, it's a strange one, that's for sure. He must be off, isn't he? He must be off.
But you'd have thought.
I mean, he's saying all the wrong things if he wants to stay at Atletico Madrid as well, isn't he? He's saying how much he loves it at Barcelona and other players there. I even saw a quote about him saying the players at Atletico would love to play, if they're honest, like we do at Barcelona.
I mean, because they've got this stigma, Atletico, bit hard working, dogged, sort of bit negative, if you like, bit sort of defensive. I mean, I've never heard of that before. A player going on loan and playing against his parent club. That's just something I'm gobsmacked. Yeah, gobsmacked.
I can't think of a precedent.
Didn't it? In the old days, I'm going back about 20 odd years. We did have that in English football, and I always used to scratch my head thinking, how can you allow someone to play against their parent club? Because it's all the sort of possibilities and all the innuendos and everything that's going to come out of it. It's a really bizarre thing to be allowed to be happen. I think you used to be able to do it in English football, but you can't do it now.
I think it's a massive insult to the player, thinking he can play against us. He ain't going to cause us any problems, and that's a massive cheer, I think, to
a bit of that
to the player.
And like I say, he must be off. He must be off. But he certainly ain't going back now, is he?
Do you score against one of your old clubs, or that must have happened a few times, Tony, in your career?
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I did. I mean, when I originally left West Ham and I scored, went to Everton, obviously, and then I scored against West Ham. I then re-signed for West Ham, and about a month later, scored against Everton. And then, of course, when I was playing for Leicester, Matt will remember I came on at Upton Park and scored a couple of goals as a sub for Leicester. So,
how did you feel there, Tone?
Did you celebrate?
Yeah, no, well, sort of. Yeah, I always tried to celebrate. It wasn't a massive celebration, but I always sort of say to people when people ask the question, "What was it like to score against any of your old clubs?" And I always say, "I'm doing my job." You get paid. If you're a goal scorer and you get paid to be a goal scorer, which I did, do your job. Don't be saying, "Oh, well, I can't score this week because I'm playing against West Ham or I'm playing against Leicester." Go out and do your job. And if you do score, celebrate. I think, you see players, I think Levi Colville, is it, who scored for Chelsea? I see him sort of, I can't celebrate in that. All right, I'm not saying run to the fans.
A couple of games for Brighton.
On loan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. But don't run to the fans that you used to watch you and intimidate them. But celebrate with your teammates and celebrate with the home fans or your own fans. That's what I think you should do.
Right, I'm going to have to move on, Ewan, because I'm wary that last week's Jenga went on, didn't it? And it was a good one.
It won't this week.
Yeah, Matt's on this week, so not a chance that'll happen. Right, Lurdle, we'll do the fourth and final clue. We've had a correct answer. Well done to Scott Blankley.
Well done, Scotty.
On YouTube.
We have been blank here, haven't we?
Got it correct. I think everyone knows it's Harvey Barnes now. Callum has said, is it Barnes against Villa? In fact, I'm giving Scott a load of credit here. Earlier on, he'd guessed Barnes against Villa as well. So it was only second guess, but still, well done to you. Leicester Tardai said Barnes against Newcastle. That isn't right. Pinky says Barnes against Spurs. Also not right. Stuart Russell as well. Barnes against Villa is his guess right. We'll do clue number 4, see if you can get it from that.
Tielemans looking for enough Harvey Barnes, who's into the box, and Harvey Barnes has scored an equaliser for Leicester City in the first minute of time added on, and a first goal in the Premier League for Harvey Barnes in Leicester City colours.
West Ham.
Yes, well done, Matt.
West Ham.
Yes. Didn't give anyone a chance to get that on the fourth guess then, did you? Tried to subtly nod to say yes, it was, but no. Anyway, Barnes against West Ham. Very tenuous link, as I said, Ewan, because Thursday he is on this day in 2016 made his debut for the club.
Oh, there you go. Can't argue with that. Can't argue with that.
So yes, Barnes against West Ham. Well done to Scott Blankley for getting it right, albeit on the second guess.
Still good.
Second guess.
Second guess.
After the third clue.
Yes, right. Football Jenga then. This is the part of the show where the four of us go head to head on a theme. And the theme this evening is name any team to have played in the Championship in the last 20 seasons. So from the 2004 to 2005 season to now, name any team to have played in the Championship. Now, you guys are going to start writing some answers down. I've got to do the small matter of our predictions. I think, like last week, though, it isn't a very good return for any of us. I think 3 of us got 0 or something last week. Tony was the only one that scored. So let's see if it's similar. Yes. QPR winning away at Deepdale at Preston. No one predicted that, so nobody gets any points. A reminder, if you're new to the show, if you get the result correct, like myself, Ewan and Matt did there, we get a point for it. If you get the score bang on, so if we'd said 3-2, we'd get 3 points. So it's just 1 point each for myself, Ewan and Matt. Tony doesn't get any there. Tony, we know, is top of the league. I said Sunderland would win 3-0 away at Millwall. All 4 of us, in fact, thought the Black Cats would win there. They didn't, so nobody gets a point. Likewise, Watford winning away at Hull. Have you seen the winner in that, Matt, by the way, from about nearly the halfway line? Chips the goalkeeper, defender.
The fella, what's he called?
Wesley Hoot.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I did see that, yeah.
Yeah, no points for anybody, though.
Big tall dark hair, man.
Yeah, in that one, Bristol 1, Norwich 2. Again, no points for anybody there. So a barren week, it's fair to say, in the predictions. Let's see what that has done for the table then. It is... well, thanks to getting 1 point, it has put me top. That's a bit of a hollow going into first place for me there. But it's first place nonetheless, Matt, isn't it? So I'm top, Tony's second. Matt and Jerry's joint team in third.
What's his name at the bottom?
And Ewan, what's his name? Yeah. And Matt Damon's number 1 fan is at the bottom. Right, our football Jenga then this evening is to name any team that has played football in the Championship since the 2004-2005 season. Basically, each of us taking in turns to do an answer. If we repeat one that has already been said, or if we say one that's wrong, we are out, and it is effectively last man standing. Tony, you can go first. I don't think we ever start with you. So yes, Tony, you can have the first guess for us, please.
Okay, I'm going to go Middlesbrough.
Ewan, you'll be next.
I'm going to go Leicester.
Swipsy.
Oh, it's me, sorry.
Is it? Yes, I thought,
yes.
yeah.
Apologies. I will say Leeds.
Ipswich.
Ewan's old club, Norwich.
Southampton.
West Brom.
Rotherham.
Portsmouth.
Oh.
Watford.
You're just going through your old clubs, Ewan, yeah? Sunderland.
Huddersfield.
Millwall.
Sheffield Wednesday.
West Ham.
Luton.
Birmingham.
Saturday's opponents, Plymouth.
Burnley.
Let's have a think.
You're not struggling already,
I'm
sure.
not struggling as such. I'm just on a bit of a
Momentary lapse.
Meltdown, yeah. Charlton Athletic.
Ah, good shout.
Sheffield United.
That's where I was going blank.
Bournemouth.
Blackburn.
Bolton.
Barnsley.
That's it.
Hull.
Blackpool.
Yes. Wickham Wanderers.
Great shout.
Preston North End.
North End.
Bristol City.
Yes.
Not sure. Have we had Swansea yet?
I
Oh,
don't think we have.
I think we have.
Have I said it?
Oh.
Wigan.
Stoke City.
Cardiff.
Yeah, were you saving those two, were you? Bradford City. Oh.
No
No.
one likes to
Favourite's
see
gone.
that. No one likes to see that.
A favourite's gone.
I had a few others as well. Right, Matt, Tony, and
You
Ewan.
better check with L on that one. Is it me?
Yeah.
Newcastle.
Good shout.
Brighton.
Ah.
Brentford.
Yes. You forget, don't it? Time flies, doesn't it? I don't think I'm cracking up here. Aston Villa.
Good shout.
Yeah.
Good shout, Matt. Crystal Palace.
Coventry.
Oh, yeah. There must be a few that from this season still.
Yeah, it must be. Well, I don't know. There's a long old list there. I'm getting a little bit tense here. Who's down in the? Did we say QPR?
Good shout.
Nice, that, Matt.
Well, Matt.
Oh, I'm getting a few compliments here, but
I still hope you lose.
I'm still going to be next out.
Don't worry, Matt. I've only got two left. I've got Forest.
Ah, yeah, of course.
Blackpool.
No.
I think it's been said.
Yeah, I said it. I said it.
Come on, son.
Right.
Unlock
Matt
final,
v
mate.
Tony. Attack versus defence at the end.
So
I've only
you've got
got
that
one
one left. You've got that one left. I just need one to go. Give myself, well, maybe two chance. Right, hang on. Yeah. I was going to go. I've got them in as a reserve. Scunthorpe. It did, but it's a while ago. Yes.
Well
Get in,
played.
Chesel.
So, the last one I got written down before I put my thinking cap on. Fulham.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
good
like
shout.
it. I like it, Tone. I like it.
Oh, there's so many. I feel.
And
Where else can it be? Oh, it's more lower, definitely.
I'll have to give you a timer as we
Oh,
are
hang on a
past
minute.
7 o'clock officially.
But relax. Got 45 seconds yet. Thinking areas of the country. Where are we going? For Bolton.
10 seconds.
Ah, Notts County. Oh, boo, well done,
Well done, Tony. Yeah, you went first. So he doesn't...
I've just thought of two, Gillingham and Southend.
Gills, yeah.
Southend,
Nice,
yes.
Tony,
very
well
good,
done.
very good.
Portsmouth?
He said that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Portsmouth
Tony
did
meant
say
that.
Have we
Yeah.
said Wolves? Was Wolves said?
No.
Wolves is definitely going to be one.
Wolves, yeah, that was gettable, wasn't it? Well gettable.
Yeah. Reading.
Burton Albion?
Ah,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Anyway,
I don't mind losing
Mate,
it, you two clowns.
There can't have been many left, to be fair, that we didn't get. So well done to Tony Cottee, second in the
Good,
Prediction
son.
League, and he's won the football Jenga this evening, and bang on pretty much 7 o'clock as well. Thank you to everybody who has
Wonderful
watched along. I hope you've enjoyed the last hour or so talking about that brilliant win at the weekend. It's a rare December week off in terms of no games midweek. So the next one is, of course,
Make the
on
most of it.
Saturday, that game with Plymouth. It is a 3 o'clock kickoff. That means we'll be live with Matchday Live from 2. So do join us for that. But anyway, thanks to Matt, to Ewan, and to Tony for their company this evening. We'll see you all again next week.